So this has transformed our lives in really interesting ways, right? I mean, now we have the ability to capture all kinds of things. But what you guys are saying today is that we can do better. We can do more with what we're generating with our content today. And so, teach us, tell us. Let's get this started.
Sure, thanks. So just to give you a little context on what you just said and what Dolby do, I think most of you probably know who Dolby are, and you may remember us from like surround sound, or you may have been to a movie theater and like, oh, that was amazing, the sound I experienced there. But you may not wonder what we were doing in an event like this and what we got to do with mobile phones. So Dolby's been innovating over the last few years and really focusing on many different types of experiences in mobile phones, especially focused on that. And it's not just audio as well, which you may know us from. Actually focusing on the video side as well. There's a product called Dolby Vision you may see or be coming to a theater near you very soon, which is a whole high dynamic range experience. And Dolby's really focused on improving the experience of sight and sound in all types of endpoints, be it mobile phones, televisions, what you're familiar with, home theater experiences in the big screen all the way to the little screen. I specifically, my name's Niall, I work in the mobile phone group, and we're focused very much on how do we innovate and improve that experience for the mobile phone. We have some great solutions on how Hollywood can play content on your phone. We've got them out there in the lobby. You can listen to them. It's amazing. Like you put a set of headphones on, and it sounds like the sound's all around you, and it's a really amazing experience. We're also trying to focus on the user-generated content side of things, and so that's where we want to talk a little about today, and that's why actually we've been teaming up with Qualcomm. That's why Ravi's here as well, to talk a bit about how we can work together to try and make that experience much better for users. Ravi, why don't you introduce yourself and how?
Sure. Hi, Ravi, and I'm part of the application processor product management. I'm sure that all of you know about Snapdragon. So Snapdragon application processor actually powers many of the Android and the Windows Mobile platforms and the smartphones out there. As part of the whole Snapdragon, there is a lot of pieces that go together. You certainly actually see elements of, I would say, video, graphics, the CPU, and the whole elements actually bring together actually the next generation of the user experiences, and that's what we are actually focused at Qualcomm. So for us, Snapdragon certainly is actually the platform on which we are focused on ensuring the best user experience from our side. One of the key things that I want to highlight is actually when we talk about the user-generated content, there are so many avenues and possibilities that exist. Talking right from obviously the video, we will talk about 4K and the Ultra HD. We'll talk about really the way you can capture surround sound with multiple microphones, the ability for you to actually even have sensors on your platform to actually make sure that the content that you capture is actually always stable. So we talk about things like image stabilization, video stabilization. So you actually have one of the best avenues on a platform to make sure that you are able to capture the best user-generated content, and that's what Snapdragon actually is supposed to deliver, and we actually are focused on doing that.
Excellent.
Cool. And so I thought a great way to start the conversation on this was to show you the kind of thing you might be experiencing today. In fact, you might be got up this morning and you went on your Facebook feed and you went, scroll through what my friends have said, and most likely your friend went to a fantastic concert, maybe a U2 concert in the local area, and as you find, when every time you go to concert, out come the smartphones and everyone insists on taking a video and they pop it up, and it may be something like this. Why don't we roll the little video clip?
Oh. Sure, it was much better for them in person than that is.
Yeah, so usually that's coupled with the expression, oh, it doesn't really do it justice. You know, and they had this amazing experience. It was their night of the month. They really loved that particular band, and they want to capture it and relive it exactly like it was, and is nothing like it. In fact, it does it no justice whatsoever. And that's like super common. I'm sure you've probably had exactly the same experience. You go straight past it. You don't hit the like button because you're like, oh God, that's terrible.
No, I don't want to see that again.
And in fact, YouTube's probably full of videos like that, and that's the bar that we're trying to move. In fact, most of the phones you have today, your iPhone in your pocket, they all record mono. If I told you that your home theater experience or your hi-fi system was going to be mono, you'd send it straight back to the shop. immediately. But in the cell phone land, we haven't really progressed beyond that. And that's where we want to start focusing the attention and improving that experience. And Dolby's a company that has always worked throughout the ecosystem. We're not just focused on one particular piece of it. And so when you look at UGC, you need to look at a complete set of ecosystem. There's usually three key aspects to that. There's the you and me capturing our videos. We're called like the content creators. And so that's a key aspect. You've got to enable people to be able to get and create new, better experiences, capture better content. Then there's a middle piece about the sort of the distribution of that whole content. There's loads of systems in place to do that, from YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo. There's lots and lots and lots of services in place, but they've got to be able. They're not designed right now to support better quality audio at all. Even high quality video, well, even you could maybe capture it. They still sort of like hack away at it today, and it starts to degrade. In that clip, you saw a classic problem in video where it's just like all of the video is just like blown, all the lights are blown out, the dynamic range was too much, dark room, bright lights, forget it. That's a good example. But on the audio front as well, not really set up for that. So that's something we're going to have to affect and change if we're going to try and enable that experience, all the way to you and me as well, listening to that content and watching that content and consuming that content. That's really important. So you sit at home with your tablet, with your smartphone, you want to experience it. And so you may have captured it great, it might be distributed great. If it's not playing back very well because you've got the most horrendous speaker and it's on the back of the device and it's firing towards the sofa and it doesn't sound good. So that's important too. We've been focused on improving that. In fact, Ravi in Qualcomm, they're very much focused on improving that playback and that device experience. So I was going to ask you, what are the sort of trends you're seeing on how that playback experience and the type of phones that you see coming out in the next few years, how that's going to be improving, and also on the capture side, that content creators, what are the things that people can expect to have in their pocket, and so we can improve those two pieces of the ecosystem?
Sure, Niall. And one of the key things that I want to, again, when you're talking about the market trends, you will see actually a lot of, I would say, discussion about 4K and Ultra HD. That's actually it has been a core focus for making sure that the quality of video that you're able to generate provides the level of details that you need. The other aspect that you will also see is what people are talking about right now with respect to the dual cameras. When you actually have it's like the two eyes. So think about the sensors, which actually helps you to get the depth as well as the focus. So you actually have those avenues to make sure that the video that you capture is excellent. On the audio front, when we are talking about all the things that can make the audio quality much better, I know Niall was talking about the mono. For us, certainly, the video is the next level of an audio capture experience, and you certainly see a lot of devices which actually has got 2 microphones. But you certainly see devices which actually have got nowadays 3 microphones or 4 microphones coming into picture. So overall, the market is actually shifting towards where they want to make sure that at least the couple of elements, the sensors that you touch, talking about the visual as well as the auditory elements, they are actually very pristine, and they actually are something that human really appreciates. So from a user experience, we actually are seeing more microphones coming into those devices. And I know we are talking about mono, but I would say stereo is happening. There is a lot of shift and people talking about even surround sound capture. It's not that you need to actually have, say, maybe 5 microphones, 6 or 7 microphones to capture 5.1, 6.1 or 7.1. But there are a lot of elements actually on the device. There is a lot of processing that could be done to really create actually that 5.1 experience. Because one of the key things that you always see is when you actually are watching or consuming the media on either a 5-inch or actually maybe a 10, 12-inch or to a 55-inch, you want the user experience to be seamless. You want to actually have the same high definition or the ultra high definition content with a 5.1 to a 7.1 surround content. And those things are actually all happening as we speak. And there is certainly some of the, I would say, the premium and the high tiers smartphones and the tablets are bringing that experience. But slowly, there is certainly a proliferation of those because people actually want to make sure that the element of that, the content that people are creating is something that you want to address across all the different segments of the market. One of the key things that I also wanted to maybe talk about is like when obviously people are talking about posting all of this content on the social media and the social platforms, we want to make sure that we are out there and we are enabling that experience. So now probably maybe you can shed some of the lights actually on the user trend, actually what you're seeing actually on the social platforms as well as maybe on the media, on the cloud as well.
Sure. I mean, so Dolby, as I said, is like an ecosystem player. We work with all different chains of the ecosystem, from the content creators to the service providers. With user-generated content, it's like average people, but there are different sets of groups there. There's a group that people are now classifying as the influencers of social media. They're the people actually, some of them are like 17 years old, they ditched university and they decided to make videos on Vine. And they're actually making close to like 7 figures, I hear some of these people. Maybe not that high, but there's big numbers, more than I'm earning, that's for sure. On Vine, on Google. If you have on YouTube, if you get giant followings, I think it's if you're over 250,000 followers, you're classified as an influencer. So Dolby has an outreach to those people to try and train them. It's called the Made for Web campaign. We're trying to work with them, trying to teach them how to create better sounding content. Most of them have no clue how to make that. They didn't know that their next smartphone might have 3 microphones, might have the capability to do surround sound capture if they actually demand and ask for that. So that's an outreach where we're starting to work with those people. They're kind of the influencers. So that's a key trend. But then there's just average people using it a lot. 300 minutes per second are pushed up to YouTube right now. And 50% of the Facebook content, there's branded content, so like marketing companies are now putting on Facebook. There's people who are actually those influencers, but still majority is just you and me.
Right.
I go on holiday, I went to Costa Rica last year, went to the rainforest. It was amazing because they have this, there's a howler monkey. It's a crazy sound this animal makes, and you want to take it back home and share it with your family. You want to relive that experience in a much better way. And right now, it's just not doing the job. It's like that. It doesn't do it justice, kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a stressed out cat in a box someplace. Yeah.
Exactly. I think the number one. What's the number one video last year? Giant mutant spider dog.
Yes.
150 million views.
Yes.
Sound wasn't great, but it was a funny story. But that's the kind of thing where I think with these tools that your Qualcomm's highlighting, what they're doing in the marketplace with Snapdragon, working with Dolby as well to make sure that the quality of the audio experience that capture and give these people the tools, we'll start to see like examples that will take off. The ALS challenge that occurred, that was a giant, the ice bucket challenge.
Right.
I mean, everyone and their brother had to take a video of that and then post it onto social media side. It's another one. If some of them are actually like, wow, that actually sounds really good, and it really captures your attention, and people stay longer and they view more of that stuff and they start demanding it, and then they also want to play it on more screens. I mean, they might have a home theater now with OTT like boxes, streaming media players. It's quite easy. You could see Vimeo, for example. You could upload it, take it with your phone, upload it up to Vimeo, send it to your mum. She can then watch it easily in her living room and actually go, wow, that sounds phenomenal. A lot of experiences like our wow moments in life, sound's an important part. First time you went to New York and you went into Times Square, that was not just about big buildings. It was like the cars going past, the taxis. The sound's a really, really critical part. And in today's mono world and capture, it's not doing it any justice. But I'm glad we're kind of working and looking towards this and focusing on that. So that raises to a big thing. Tell us a bit about some of the products that Qualcomm are doing then and how we're working together to try and improve this experience and what people might be able to see in the coming year on a phone.
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, so Snapdragon certainly is a platform which enables a lot of, I would say, the partners. So Dolby actually has been a great partner, and we certainly are always excited to work with Dolby. One of the key technologies that we are working on is what we call our Fluence Pro multi-microphone technology, where Dolby and Qualcomm are coming together and driving the next generation of, I would say, the Snapdragon experience. One of the key highlight with this multiple microphone technology is actually it lets you enable and capture the surround sound that I was highlighting. If you actually have those 3 microphones, you can really capture the 5.1 surround sound. But it's not just, I would say, the 5.1 surround sound. You can actually do things like directional recording. You can do audio zoom. You actually can do noise cancellation. So think about so many scenarios where, talking about Niall's Costa Rica trip, where you want to make sure that there is one element of scene that you want to focus on. And it could be just maybe the beast that could be like chirping, or it could be actually the birds flying over. And you want to take all the other elements of noise away from it. The multiple microphones actually helps you to do that. And there is obviously a lot of advancements that has been done across the pipeline. So when you think about actually the microphones, you talk about the high quality, actually I would say the codec chips that actually are there on the smartphone platform. Now, the element that you want to make sure is it's also something that a user can easily control. So for us, we actually have come together where we actually are providing things which are more, I would say, user intuitive. So there is a lot of, I would say, tools that are available actually certainly for our OEM partners, but also very excellent set of tools for our ecosystem partners. So these are actually some of the things that we actually are driving towards, where we want to make sure that any of those elements about talking about surround capture or directional recording or audio zoom, it's all those elements that you want to make sure are the key subject, and you don't want to let go of it. We are always trying to make sure that we actually bring it all together.
Well, it's interesting you bring up consumers, because a couple of things we've seen happen on the handsets the past couple of years. HTC on the M1 or the M8 had. HTC One M8, it's supposed to be the M9, had that stereo, that two-lens camera that allowed people to do a richer experience and things. Yet they took it out of the next generation because people didn't have the ability to actually understand how to use it. And yet Apple and others are now having 4-speaker tablets to enable that rich audio experience. And so what else are you guys doing on both sides? Because the brands both sell. I mean, you have Dolby inside, and you put Dolby inside a box of Cheerios, and people are going to buy it more, right? Because the crunch is just that much richer. But what are the things, and I love what you guys are doing with the influencers to show people what good is, right? The ability to reach people with content. How are you doing it for day-to-day folks, right? I'm taking video of my wife's birthday this weekend. We're singing happy birthday. I'm not singing because I'm taking the video. Because I know if I sing happy birthday to my wife, all you're going to hear on the video is me. So that's a terrible experience. And so how do you start to put these things in the hands of users in a way that makes sense? It's one thing to say audio zoom. It's another thing to enable us as a generation of users to take advantage of that. And so how are you guys working together to enable the OEM partners to make the right experience decisions, to leverage the cool things you guys have been doing to drive that adoption?
So one of the key things that I wanted to certainly highlight, I think, John, you make a great point, talking about the birthday and the celebration and like the moment that you want to capture. So when I was talking about the Fluence Pro technology, which is the multiple microphone, it's you as a user, you actually have a GUI, a graphical user interface, where you want to make sure that there are different elements of the sounds that you can capture. So it's like, okay, hey, you want to capture something one in the front of the screen, not in the back of the screen. You actually have the ability to do that. So some of those things is something that we obviously are working together and making that all happen. But the main thing is also with the whole ecosystem, there are a lot of pieces that actually we want to make sure that comes together, right? Obviously, we are as a platform provider, a technology enabler. With Dolby, we obviously have a great audio post-processing company along with the audio codecs. There are obviously application vendors who actually need the tools. So it's a matter of like obviously making sure that it's a great package for you to really harness and experience it.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would add to that, I mean, that classic birthday one is definitely one you want to go after as and more important, it's like some other idiot next to you goes, oh, see you, I'm off to the shops.
Right.
And you're like, well done, you've ruined the video. And the average person just doesn't know how to process that. They don't know how to get Pro Tools up and then manage all those things. So it's got to be super easy. And so we've got to work with OEMs. They want to always add their custom thing, and it's their look and feel.
Right.
So, but it's got to be super intuitive, super easy, and it's got to be a way that, like directional, it's like, oh, just in front of you, and there's a mode, and the person can easily just touch it on the screen. A bit like you do on Focus today. You could just touch on the face. I want to focus on that. People know how to do that. And I think that with audio, there can be things that we can figure out. We're going to have to use a test. Dolby does a lot of that work of going out and doing primary user testing, see how does the technology resonate with the consumer as well. Because we sell to sort of OEMs, like a B2B, but then most of our products and experiences are consumed by you, the consumers. So
B2B2C, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we open up channels to both. So it's something we're going to have to learn. We're going to figure out that experience and making it better. Right now, you can go and listen in the demo area, this where we're at today, in that surround capture, and go out to the world and create something and try and relive it exactly how you've experienced it there. You go into Burning Man, you want to show someone what that's like. You probably want one of these kind of phones that delivers this experience. So you can experience that today, and then in the future I think we're going to try and solve some of those problems, and so we're looking forward to working with Qualcomm and their Fluence Pro and the products that they're putting together to make sure we can get people solve the challenges and the problems that they have, and I think you highlighted a great one, so I look forward to cracking those.
That's great.
One of the elements I wanted to also add was, nowadays, if you really look at the smartphones and the tablet devices, there's a lot of ability for you to make it very adaptive. The technologies that actually, again, Snapdragon provides, with sensors, you can understand and you can sense the environment. So we are talking about even things like always on voice, always on audio. It's the ability for the microphones to be always active and be aware of where exactly they are. So all of those power could be actually harnessed to make sure that the UGC or the user-generated content is really adapting to the persona or really to the surrounding that you are in. So it's a lot of, I would say, those elements are all actually happening on the devices as we speak.
Yeah, that contextual awareness that you can bring to capture and to the sharing and reuse, that makes a lot of sense. All the Lego bricks are there. You guys are building it. That's fantastic. Are there any questions from the audience at this stage? People are like, ooh, oh, there's an ooh.
It's very quick. When can I see all this stuff?
Oh, just step out the door on the right-hand side.
It's all there. The future is here.
The future is here?
The future is now.
Yeah, look for the Dolby banners. Yeah, or you can follow us on the way out, don't worry. Yeah.
There will be game films. Now, we haven't been recording this session with the technology, so any of the films that you guys are taking are going to look a little bit more like that YouTube clip, though these guys are more rock star than I am. But this is amazing. Are there any other questions from the audience other than where to play? And definitely play, because it's definitely worth playing. Right? We've all loved Dolby and Qualcomm since the early days. I have Snapdragon here, and the double D is always a happy thing. Do you guys have any last comments you want to kind of share with everybody?
No, certainly, actually, as Niall was mentioning, I certainly will recommend all of you to actually check the demo at the Dolby. I think, for me, seeing and hearing is believing. So certainly don't miss out on the opportunity. You'll be able to element all of those capture that has been done. And just to make a point, actually, I think a lot of you actually have heard about some of the movies and documentaries that has been shot just purely using a cell phone camera. Mm-hmm. So, the power does exist. It's a matter of really bringing all the tools together and making sure that you can actually do the same.
So we've got sight, we've got sound. Are you guys collaborating on Smell-O-Vision next?
It's not on the roadmap right now.
Okay. I appreciate the honesty.
We'll see.
Neil, anything else?
No, I think Ravi summed it up perfectly. Seeing is believing, and I recommend you go try it out, and then start banging on the door of the latest smartphone OEM and tell him, hey, this is a feature I want, it's great, and then we need to just get it turned on the services, and this is something that you and I can enjoy in the future, I think.
Excellent.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.